Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you saw the thumbnail, you saw the title, so you know what we're about to do today. So now, let me go ahead and introduce you to my new best friend. All right, so you all saw on Thursday, Amanda Timpson sat before the Georgia Senate and explained what was going on with her whistleblower case. And lots of you all I got lots of good positive feedback on that video. But if you didn't see the video, have no fear. It's down in the description for this video right now. But don't go over there just yet, because I do want to give you an opportunity to introduce you to Amanda Timpson. What I wanted to do was bring her on and give her an opportunity to kind of tell you who she is. We got a good discussion planned for you. I promise you, there will not be a lot of binder jokes. I'll just let those stay in the background, but I can't promise you emphatically. So with no further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring on board my new best friend, Amanda Timpson. How are you, Amanda? How's it going?
It's going well. How are you?
Oh, very well, very well. I cannot complain. Now, you said you're just enjoying the heat today, huh?
Yes, I am. I'm definitely a child of the sun, so I love to be in the sun.
Oh, well, Georgia served it up for you today for sure. If you're not here in Georgia, and we had a really bad thunderstorm this morning. It was ridiculous. And then by 1 o'clock, not only had the sun come out, but it had dried everything up and kids were out playing and everything was great. So welcome, Amanda. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So we got a lot to talk about. Now, what I did was, if you're wondering, those people that are wondering, I took some of the questions that you all had from the live stream where Amanda was speaking to the Georgia Senate, as well as some of the comments that were in the comment section. I formulated those into questions and I brought those to Amanda. So we're going to kind of go over those. That way we can keep all the questions above board and we don't have to redact anything. And I don't have to have Chef Mario come and punch me in the throat because I asked something I shouldn't ask. But
Right.
if she's available, or if there's a question that pop up, she said she would definitely be willing to do that. But I don't want to dishonor her by doing something that we had not planned to already do. So I don't want to get in here talking so much because it's not about me. It's about you. So Amanda, if you don't mind, I found it really interesting that when we talked on the phone, you seemed very interested in gang prevention. And I was like, why is that? Like, why are you so interested in that? So if you don't mind, just tell us about who you are and how you got into gang work.
Yes, absolutely. So I grew up in Southern California. I spent a lot of time in Los Angeles and Compton, and in my time and relationships and friendships and things that I built, I experienced a lot of loss having to do with gang violence in friends and family. And ultimately, what really kind of led me to this work and wanting to be a part of the solution was when I was 20 years old and pregnant with my first child. His biological father was actually incarcerated due to gang related crime and currently resides in California's death row. So that was something that really kind of shaped me wanting to not only be on the other side of gangs,
Sure.
but also knowing that I had a kind of a different introspective perspective on gang activity, why youth join gangs, and kind of how it starts off as sometimes a innocent or searching for something that they lack, and then becomes something a lot more negative, I would say. And so trying to just be a part of the solution, as I said, and trying to work with youth. I was one of those youth. I was a little bit of a, um, you know,
No. Was you a
I
troublemaker?
know.
Come on.
I
Oh,
was
come on, fess
as a
up. Wow,
right,
really?
not as an adult, but
You lying.
as a youth, just trying, thinking everything. You know how kids do.
They
So
know
I was one
everything.
of those.
I got you. Okay. Now, what brought you out East Coast? Because you're a West Coaster. So what brought you all the way over here?
So I spent most of my life in California, as I said, and I moved out here when I was 27, almost 10 years ago. And um, I moved out here because honestly, it's cost of living is better.
Hey,
If
look,
we
look.
really,
Hey,
if
let's
we
just tell the
really
truth. Let's keep it
come to
100.
it,
Right.
yeah, cost of living is better, and I think like just a slower pace of life. I wanted my son to be obviously away from the woes of LA and what that brings, and I wanted him to have a more simple upbringing, and so I moved here.
Well, welcome to Georgia. We appreciate you. So you said you've been here about 10 years. All right. And son is adjusting well, enjoying this. And so you come here to Georgia and you just decide, hey, I'm going to start fighting gangs. I'm just going to start keeping people right. What did you do? Tell us your career path.
Sure. So when I came here, it wasn't that easy. I actually started teaching school. I've always been just interested in working with youth. So working in middle school was kind of an easy fit for me.
I got
There
you.
wasn't a lot of gang prevention jobs when I first came here. And so I started teaching. I taught in Atlanta public schools and
Shout out
DeKalb County
AS.
schools
Hmm.
for about 4 years combined. And then I found a position for director of gang prevention and intervention with the DA's office. So I applied for that
Nice.
and interviewed, went through a rigorous interview process with Mr. Howard, and I got the job.
Well, congratulations. Okay. So now, because you knew what gang life was like out West Coast, you came here, you saw that they didn't have anything, well, you were teaching, and you saw that there wasn't anything preventative, and you saw a need, and so you reached out to fill it, and lo and behold, you were able to be put in that position. So tell us a little bit, if it's okay, about the actual role that you filled under former DA Paul Howard.
Sure. So in that capacity, first off, it was a new role.
Got
So
it. Okay.
it was establishing the unit. I also worked for to create diversionary programs for specifically for gang involved youth. Um, Worked to create not only diversionary programs but parent programs as well, because we know that a lot of times just making sure that our youth have a good support system and their parents are well informed is key, especially when they are adjudicated or a part of the justice system, because
Absolutely.
as parents, a lot of parents don't know, about the justice system. So educating the parents on the ebbs and flows of that, as well as creating this gang center. Um, this center was donated to the DA's office in 2017, right before I came on board. And Mr. Howard saw fit that the building be used for the Center for Youth Empowerment and Gang Prevention. And so establishing partnerships, building a steering committee of community members, community leaders, and everything in between.
I got you. I got you. So the Gang Prevention Center, I'm just going to call it the Gang Prevention Center or Juvenile Gang Prevention Center, that was donated by someone to Paul Howard. It wasn't retrofitted to be used as the way that you all wanted to use it. So it needed to be taken care of. And that's what a lot of the back and forth was about, even on Thursday, was about the fact that funds that should have been used in that regard have not been used in that regard to help that facility. What was the overall plan? Like, do you know, like, was there a vision? Like, was it going to be classes or workshops or like, how was it going to be put together? What was the vision?
So glad you asked, because this was my baby.
Okay.
And so it was the former West Fulton Mental Health Center. And
Okay.
so it was about 7,000 square feet.
Oh,
So it was a
wow.
large building, right?
Yeah.
And so inside of that building, we were going to have everything from classes to trades. We had identified 12 trades that we were going to house in the building, which consisted from everything from like barbering to cosmetology um, to mechanic to trying to remember all of them, culinary
HVAC.
art. Yes,
Yes.
HVAC and
Yes.
woodworking. Several trades were going to be housed out of this building. Additionally, we had classrooms because we were creating a parent university, which again is to educate parents about like your youth in what youth gang trends are, social media and gangs, talking about party to a crime, all the things that justice involved youth and their parents need to know.
Facts.
to
Okay.
be well informed. Additionally, there's about acre and a half to 2 acres on the back, and we were going to use that for a community garden. So our youth who had been adjudicated and needed community service on site in a safe space, and then they could actually take the fruits of their labor home, and it could benefit the community. There is an elderly, like a senior citizens home not too far from there. So a part of our plan was also to engage those citizens in our work and be able to donate to them as well. So, and I
Oh
will
my
say
gosh.
we had a partnership with Emory University Sociology Department. And so we were going to be working with a lot of those graduate students on some further studies so we could continue to get funding. So all of the things.
Wow. Okay. So if I'm understanding it correctly, do you have any idea, was anything moved on the needle? Because it does. Oh, by the way, can you tell us like where it would be situated? Is it up north in Alpharetta, or where is it located?
So it's located at 475 Fairburn Road in Southwest Atlanta. And it's between not too far from Adamsville Rec from those
Yep.
who are native to
Yep.
Atlanta. And what was the other question? I'm sorry.
It's fair to say that it's in a well needed location where where there's a need for that type of center in this community. Is
Absolutely.
that fair?
And I think
Absolutely.
that was part of the reason why Mr. Howard wanted to make that building, because we could have used it for anything else, but it was a high need area for gang activity, and
I
so
got
we
you.
thought that would be best served in that manner.
No, I love it. Did anything get done? Is there like one side of it, a garden,
So
a bay?
when Mr. Howard left office, we had just finished the roof. We had CAFRA, which is a engineering company, come out
Mhm.
and do like survey it and make sure that everything, like the schematics and all that stuff, I can even show you because I have it right
Uh-oh. Is
here.
that the binder? I promise no
Not
binder
the
jokes.
binder, but I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, I see it absolutely.
Yeah, so these are kind of the renderings for the building. So we had all the renderings done, the architect, all of that. We came in, we um made sure that we got everything to code as far as like the outlets and all of that,
Yeah.
and that is where it kind of ended.
Wow.
So the roof and then just everything basically to code, but nothing rehabbed fully, if that makes sense.
No, that makes
So
perfect sense. So
um
because it does this conversation, because we haven't even got to the questions we had planned to talk about. This is actually
right.
causing me to think about something. I thought that there wasn't a gang problem in Georgia. No one knew about a gang problem until Paul Howard left, and she who shall not be named came in to let everybody know. But
Everybody
apparently,
looked crazy, right? Like,
apparently
where did
there
they
was a gang problem, and people were discussing it before because Paul Howard
before?
had this building before then. Oh,
Absolutely.
I'm
Yep.
sorry.
Exactly. And created the unit for gang prevention and intervention as well. So that was created long before, her she helped not who will not be named came on as well. But after that, we still had plans because again, I just want to make this clear. We had general funds allotted for the rehabilitation of the
For sure.
building.
Right.
The grant funds that are in question was for the programming out of the building.
I got
So
you.
to pay for people to come in and do the programming. However, we touted the fact that we had this building in order to get the
To
grant.
get the
Does that
grant.
make sense?
Right.
Like
No, it
we
makes
had a
perfect
place
sense.
to do this work. So had we not had this center in our grant application, I don't know that we would have actually received the grant. And so it was very much contingent upon the center.
All right. So, Amanda, I don't know why you keep doing this. I don't know. Do you hate my questions or what? Because you keep giving me stuff that now I'm going off the rails. Because I don't think people realize that as a former school teacher, I'm familiar with writing grants, nothing to the degree and the volume that you did. So I do understand, like you have to do certain things, you have to be responsible. I wrote grants for computers, I wrote grants for different things in my classroom. Can you help explain how the building, this youth gang prevention center, was actually, dare I say, leveraging or useful for you to get the grant that we're talking about with the, for the programming. Can you explain that a little bit?
So when you write a grant, especially a grant of this magnitude where it's a large dollar amount, but it's also the DOJ managed, right? You have to
Right.
be extremely specific. So we had to narrate not only the gang problem, but what our resolution was to eradicate or bring down the gang problem, right? And so the better ideas you have, the better and more leveraged you are as a community, the more likely the DOJ will then match your leveraging. Does that make sense?
That makes sense because it almost sounds like in your alumni association, if the alumni are not giving money, it's going to be hard for an outside corporation to want to donate to your college. So I totally get it. So if you have
Yeah.
the
You have
youth
to show
center,
investment.
right? So if you got the prevention center that's up and running, everything's ready to go. Then the DOJ would say, if I'm understanding you correctly, oh, wow, you all got some buy-in from your community because you got this community garden and you got these courses. Yes, we want to put some funds into that, or we want to put this grant into that to help you all continue to do more for what you're doing. But if you didn't have that you're like, hey, just give us some money and we'll figure out what to do with it. Then that would work against you, if I'm understanding you correctly.
Yeah, it would work against us in the fact that they may come back and say, "Hey, unfortunately, we didn't find that you all had a detailed enough plan, or we don't feel like your community was invested enough for us to now invest. Maybe come around next year, or come around in 2 more years when the grant is available again, or something like that." So it's one of those things where we had be extremely detailed, so detailed. When I say, and I know I sounded like a broken record when I said the grant is so specific,
Right,
it's because it was.
right,
And when I mean specific, I mean we highlighted zip codes and the active gangs in those specific zip codes. And then we then turned around and looked at the schools in those specific zip codes, and then back to, okay, these zip codes, these gangs, these kids in this area are affected by these gangs. So it was so specific that you couldn't really get around the fact that this is what we asked for, not
right.
that, if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. We said we were going to use it to hire 12 instructors to teach metalworking and HVAC. We can't use it to buy computers. Or we said we're going
Right.
to, right. It makes perfect sense. I think most people understood, like, it was very specific. And as Chef Mario said, show me in the grant where it says you can have children coming in from another place, because it is that specific that they have to be from Atlanta public or Fulton County residents. Like, it's that specific. So I totally get it. Yes. Wow. Okay. Is there any hope? So the building now, is it just stuck in limbo? Is there, like, Jason can run down there and start rehabbing it? Like, what's going on with it now? Or do you even know?
Well, last time I knew, it was closed. I ride by it sometimes when I'm actually busy and doing errands. And the last time I passed by it, it was padlocked. This was maybe about 3 weeks ago. The grant in question ended at September of 2023, so it's over. So I don't know if the DA's office currently has any plans for it, but every time I pass by, I would lie if I said that I
Wow.
wasn't a little sad. Just what could have been. Yeah.
All right. I think I might have to ride by there. I think I'm gonna go by there one day. I'm gonna take my bike and I'm gonna ride all around it and do a live stream from there. Just because, I mean, it sounds like it would have been what you've articulated to us right now does sound like not only is needful, but it does sound like it was very creative down there and so on and so forth. And I've done live streams where I've gone around the Atlanta University Center and shown people, like, this is what the community's like that you don't see. This is the community around there. And a lot of people don't know what's going on. They just see what's on the news. And even the news, if it bleeds, it leads. Even that's curated. It's not even
Yeah.
to the degree fully what's going on. So I appreciate it. All right, Amanda. We got to get back on my questions. You've derailed my
All right.
questions. You're over here giving us this electric smile, winning over my live chat with this great persona. And now I still haven't gotten to my questions. So let me get on to my questions. All right, Amanda, what do you say? All right, here we go. Let's look at the situation. You know what the grant is supposed to be like. You wrote the grant, for crying out loud. You wrote the book, pun intended, about the grant, right? But you see that it's not being used correctly. Why not just go along to get along? Why not just say, ooh, that's not good, but I'm just going to keep my head down and I'm just going to keep writing? Why did you even say anything?
Multiple reasons, honestly. Um, First and foremost, I got into this work and I've dedicated my entire professional career to the kids. Everybody who knows me knows I love the kids.
The kids.
And I would not be me if I couldn't look in the mirror and say I am who I think that I am if I allowed them to misuse what was meant for these youth. I think that when we talk about funds and stuff, our youth are the most vulnerable of our population. And
Absolutely.
so to take from young people who are trying to figure out life, who may have additional, you know, things going on in their life that is making it more difficult or making decisions more difficult, and to have this money specifically for them to help intervene and not use it properly, I would have to question myself for the rest of my life. But
Right, right.
also, I think that, quite frankly, I was the director on that grant. I wrote the grant. If somebody's going to jail for that grant, it might be me.
Right, right, right.
It might be me. So just, it was multifaceted. That honestly, me never came into it. At first, it was all about the kids. And then it was like, oh, I'm actually scared. I'm
Right.
actually nervous about the fact that they may go through with this and it may come back on me as well.
Yeah. And that makes sense. Because again, if you are the grant writer and you are, for example, when I was a teacher, if they gave you X amount of dollars and you swiped a card for something that wasn't that, and you sent in a receipt for something, you're going to have a problem. Now, nothing to the degree that what you're talking about here, but I totally understand that. So no, I appreciate
And
it. Go ahead.
I want to say this. I helped write the grant as the author, but I was written into the grant as the project director. So also, if something on the project was not going as directed, they're going to be like,
Mm. Oh, that's even double. What is it? We're
yeah,
on triple whammy at this point. It's not even a double whammy. That's a triple whammy. All right,
exactly.
here we go. You ready? What took so long? Why take so long? Somebody would ask. What's taking so long?
I've had this asked to me before as if it took so long because my claims weren't valid. No, it takes a long time when you're fighting somebody who has unlimited resources and can continue to ask for extensions and put things off and say, "Hey, I'm running an entire DA's office. I have this entire, thing." It is a valid concern to anybody, like, hey, this person has an entire office that they're running. So when you are having a lawsuit against, say, a construction company did something, it's different than having a lawsuit against an elected official who has an entire office to run, who runs the largest office, DA's office in the state of
In
Georgia.
Georgia, yeah.
Again, unlimited resources. So, little me over here just trying to make it work
Right, right.
versus somebody who has unlimited resources. I'm a taxpayer in Fulton County. Some of my resources might be going to
Your resource against
to the
yourself.
defense.
Let that sink
Exactly.
in. Oh
So,
my gosh.
yeah. So it's been a journey, and one that I have been completely up for the challenge to fight this case aggressively and quickly with the sense of urgency. That is not what I have been met with. And so you don't always get what you want.
And I think people need to realize, like, sadly, the one that you are suing is able to almost determine the speed of this case. So at the end of the day, as much as you might say, "Hey, I want to get this done last Tuesday. I was ready to get this done," she could say, "You're gonna get it done when I decide to get it done."
1,000 Tuesdays from
A thousand
tomorrow.
Tuesdays, preferably not that long, but I totally
Yes.
get it. Yeah, like they're totally. It's sad to say you're at the whim of that she who you are suing. Wow, man, this is crazy.
I
I,
will say this. I, madam, I do. Uh, from what I know, she works for the state of Georgia. She works for the people of Fulton County. If there is any additional like funds or anything going in, I wouldn't be able to speak to that
right.
unequivocally. Obviously, heard rumblings, but of course, I don't know.
I got you. And Yeshua right here just makes a comment. I wasn't going to comment on many of them, but he just wants to let you know that we're all praying for you because
Thank you.
we know that you're just an average Joe or Jane, just like us. So nothing special. You don't have any. Again, you don't have the magic purse. You don't have the unlimited checkbook. You're out here doing this because it's the right thing to do, and ultimately, it demonstrates that these people do. They're not above the law. They're not above the law. All right, so. Do you mind to tell us what about? Okay, here it comes. I saw this detraction quite a bit. You just want to take down Fani because you want to support Trump. You just and all the different things, black girl magic, the whole gambit of that nature. What do you say about that?
I got a lot to say about that. Um, I think, honestly, I think it's sad. I think the narrative is sad. I have been saying this since 2021, long before this Trump case came about, long before it was indicted, almost 3 years before it was even indicted. And people who say, oh, you're just trying to take down Fani. What was Fani, and her administration doing to me and my family?
Right.
I am an average person and stuff, and the things that were done to me, do I not have a right
Come on.
to advocate for myself and my family when I, as a whistleblower, have completely been bullied and decimated in every way, like as far as my career path, as far as, just being honest, and people have to understand, as a black woman, I went to Fani first because I believed that she did not know. And as a black woman, I wanted, and it's not even just black. It was just like, as a woman, I was like, she's a mother. I don't
Yeah.
believe she could know about this. And that is where my trouble started. So for those who say, oh, she's just trying to take down her, or she's disgruntled, that is not the truth. Um, in all honesty, as much as I disagree with, or have my own feelings about what people do, I wish bad to no one.
Right.
And a lot of people who make a lot of comments, they don't know me, so they wouldn't know that to make that assessment. But I would like to call myself a good person.
Yeah. I like it. And I think also keep in mind a couple things. This whistle, you blew the whistle before the whole Trump situation came up. So
Long before,
so it had
long
nothing to do with it. Kind of like um, the DA oversight committee that Kemp just signed about 2 months ago. They had nothing to do with Fani. It's just been in committee for so long, and it just came out of committee right now. So to
And
the
it's
point,
funny that
yeah,
originally it came about from the other side,
right,
pushing it because of the Ahmaud Arbery case and other cases, and it just came to fruition now. But absolutely, again, my blowing the whistle was in 2021. We're in 2024 now. And
correct.
so I had no idea that it would last or take this long to even come to light. But also another thing is, I just want to make it clear, a lot of other people have politicized this. My complaint was in the court system for 2.5 years. I blew the whistle 3 years ago, but also, my audio, all of these documents that have surfaced were attached to my complaint. So when people are like, the leak, anybody who wanted to see it, acknowledge it, find it, could have found it for the past 2.5 years.
Wow. Wow. And you said it during the committee hearing. You know what? I didn't think she knew. And I was just trying.
I
It seemed like
didn't.
the right thing to do. Like, oh wait, hey boss, do you know that this is happening on your watch? Which would have been completely benign. Nobody would have said anything about it. Or you trying to take down Trump, or you trying to take down Fani, who's trying to take down Trump, or none of that stuff. It'd been like, oh, that's the right thing to do. Like, hey, I don't know if you know about this.
And I can honestly say, and I've said this 1,000 times, if when I told her, she would have said, "Thank you so much. I'm going to look into it," it would have died right there, because that's how much I believed in her, and that's how much I believed in her administration. It was the fact that I was demoted immediately
Wow.
after telling her, when my antennas went up, and I started sending myself everything that I could, because I was like, that was not what I expected.
Right, right, right.
You
I
know what I
totally get
mean?
it.
So I was like, wait, hold on, what's really going on? But absolutely, my intentions were to let her know, because I didn't want it to be any scandal in her administration. So yeah.
I mean, which is amazing, considering the fact that, and I'm going to say this, I think that she was already dirty dealing when you blew the whistle with Nate. There was already a lot of dirty dealing going on, but you were just, as a normal person in the office, wanting to do the right thing. And you just said you didn't want there to be a scandal in her administration. In my opinion, my name is Jason, dearwokec@gmail.com. There was already a scandal because she was already doing dirt. Like, that's crazy. Like, and the fact that, you're just in there doing your job, wanting to do the right thing, and wanting there not to be a scandal in her administration, while, of course, she already had a scandal going on in her administration, which is, again, just amazing. Wow. No, that was, and I picked it up during your committee hearing, and you're like, I just wanted her, I just didn't know she knew. And I think that's the
Right.
right thing to do. And you just said it, like, if she had said, sure, I appreciate it, I'm gonna look into it, we probably wouldn't be talking right now. That's
At least
crazy.
not for a little while.
Say again.
At least not for a little while. Like, it would have held me off for a little while until those quarterly reports needed to be done. And
Yikes.
yeah.
All right. And this is off the cuff. Can you please explain to the audience, because it seems like the only person that's keeping receipts is Fani. And like, she's got to look in her purse and in her coat pocket and, in the bottom of her briefcase. Can you explain how, since you were the director of grant writing, how does that, the information and the artifacts get captured so that you can report to the DOJ that, hey, we've used the money like you wanted us to use it? Is it a one-man operation or one-woman operation? How does that work? Like, how does that work?
So I actually wasn't the director of grants. I only helped on that one specific grant.
Okay.
But I will say this, because I do know a bit about grants. So not every organization does the work. Like somebody like the DA, we would have sub-recipients or sub-awardees, where we would
Sure.
find other organizations in the community to help us do the work, and we would manage the work. So each month, or biweekly, or however the organization has it set up, those sub-awardees would turn in documents that would show their work, essentially,
So
right?
if I were,
And then,
if Jason was a sub awardee, I have Jason's welding, Whitaker's welding, and you guys are gonna, and you got a welding class in your gang prevention center, and I would submit to you an invoice saying,
so
or whatnot.
we would already have a allotted amount um that we've agreed on in an MOU, which is a
Yep.
memorandum of understanding, right?
Correct.
And what Jason's welding or Whitaker's welding would give to me would be, how many youth did you service, the name of those youth, and what the outcomes were. So say Johnny, um he finished 24 hours out of 30 that month. Okay, he had an excused absence, and this is Johnny's on pace to finish in July, because
Right.
he's behind a few hours or whatever.
Right.
So we would get those type of informationals or whatever, documents, and then we do a quarterly report. So we would take them, we would look at it and create a snapshot of each quarter, what our progress looked, and we would turn that into our grant, whoever the grantee is, right? So to the DOJ, we would show them, we've serviced this many students or youth, we've seen these outcomes. This is how we captured the outcomes. Say there was a post or a pretest or something like that.
Absolutely.
This is how we've captured those outcomes. This is what we expect for next quarter. And that's how we would go throughout the entirety of the grant.
So for her to write to Jim Jordan that she's collecting these artifacts or she's going to roll them out would be disingenuous because they should have been doing that ongoing. If I'm understanding it correctly, you shouldn't be a mad hatter running around for the last, the 11th hour to collect artifacts because you should have been doing this ongoing. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And not only that, but the grant ended. The grant we were awarded at the very end of 2020, and the money was dispersed in the beginning of 2021, and it ended in 2023. There's absolutely no way that you should just be getting documents to create your quarterly reports or whatever the case may be. There's no way you should be searching for those. You should absolutely have them readily available. And so I don't know, the DOJ does have a lot going on with a lot of different grantees. I don't know if they were behind or I don't know, because again, I was taken off those things and I was unable to see, but generally you should have those quarterly reports, and she should have them for the 3 years that the grant was alive and well, readily available.
So what do they do with it, I wonder? Okay, I got lots. Actually, now I have more questions than I initially intended because now I'm bothered. Like, wait, hold on. Because and actually somebody else asked another question that's kind of got me going down another direction. So if you were the point person for the grant, when you were no longer in the office, who became the point person? Or did the money just go into the, see, that's yeah, never mind. I got a bad
because I was the project project director, excuse me. And so I'm not sure.
Wow. So yeah, because I'm really interested in seeing because I gave the analogy of a school teacher that's just giving grades, and then at the end of the year, they got to explain why they got those grades or how they got those grades because parents are upset, and you don't have any artifacts, so you're hustling around trying to make up something to justify this is why little Sally got this, and this is why little Tommy got that. Hey, little Tommy, fill this out, put your name on it, and it's such of that nature. Because you haven't been doing your job. If you've been doing it ongoing, it's different than at the end of the year rushing Mad Hatter to do it. And I'm sorry, that looks just like she's Mad Hattering. Trust me, I know. I've seen it done before. Not me. I've never done that before, but I've seen other people do it. No, that's wild. All right, so I appreciate that. No, for real. So how is this overall? If you don't mind, if there's anything you don't want to talk about, it's perfectly fine. How has this had any kind of impact over at the Timpson abode? How's your family holding up with this? Everything being on the news and in the newspapers and blogs and this crazy guy right here on the podcast. How's that working out?
I think that this has absolutely been a journey, and I'm smiling right now because we're on this podcast and I'm in good company, but this has not always been, there's been a lot of tears. There's been a lot of stress. I'm a mom. I have an entire family, and I feel like we don't think about the people outside of just me, even with my fiance, just knowing that he's now a caregiver in some regards because of the amount of stress that's on me, or our son, and it's just right. Honestly, it's a lot, and there's some things that I'm not ready to share just yet, that we've experienced, but I will say the impact of what it's had on my family will be around long after my cases is done and finished, long after this election season, long after, anybody is interested in who Amanda Timpson is and what I've done. My family will feel the effects for a long time. And that's just the one thing. Financially, it's affected us. Emotionally, it's affected us. I think that's where I'll kind of let that go so I don't get emotional, but it's been a lot. It's been very heavy for a lot of reasons. So
I got you. Here, let's see if we can talk about something a little bit more lighthearted. You did land on your feet, though. You are now in a position Do you mind talking about that? Is that okay to talk about what you currently do? Is that all right or no?
Yeah, 'cause y'all
Okay.
can Google my name and see it. So,
Okay. No.
so yeah, I love my job now. I still work with justice involved youth. I work with a national nonprofit. I won't say their name just because I
Mm-mm.
didn't ask them, but I will say that um, I'm grateful. It took a long time, a lot of hard work.
I can
I
imagine.
Yes, and with the negative press from this, it was even way harder to get a job. Usually I was like, "Oh, I used to get interviews quick," and I wouldn't nobody wouldn't touch me with a 10-foot pole. They were like, and when I would get in interviews, they would ask me about it and I would try to explain it in the most in the way that didn't disparage anybody, but just said I found myself in a situation where I was required to be a whistleblower, and unfortunately, this is the backlash. And again, like I said in my Senate hearing, if you guys have ever hired anybody or been on the other end of hiring, it's a gamble no matter what. And so when you have somebody in a position of authority saying that this person is essentially trash, you're less likely to take that person when you have a bunch of other people who are well qualified as well. So it made finding a job extremely hard. The place that I'm at now, I just decided like new approach. I'm going to talk to them about it from get go and let them know
Right.
so they don't have to look it up and find it. So
I
I
love it.
did that and it worked out for me. And fortunately, I've been with this place since September of last year, and I genuinely appreciate them. They have supported me through this and encouraged me, and I'm grateful.
Shout out to them. That's good. I'm glad that you landed somewhere good. I'm glad you have a. It seems like that you have a good experience. You're having a good experience. Please forgive me, and I love it. All right, there are some questions that have popped up that I might need to bring into here, but here let's take it off the rails a little bit. What are three takeaways that you have from this whole situation? If I said, hey, Amanda, I'm thinking about blowing the whistle on, my employer because he's using the grant wrong, and nothing should go wrong, right? It should be okay, right? What would be three takeaways maybe that you would tell me?
That
Your
I would
face,
not tell them.
your
That would
face
be
was like, I love it.
um I think three takeaways for me is first, sometimes doing the right thing will be the hardest thing that you ever did.
Amen.
That's first. You know, your parents probably when you're small tell you like doing the right thing. You just do the right thing all the time, and this has been the hardest thing that I've ever done. So that's one. Another would be is is doing the right thing. Like, how much do you care about your morals? Are your morals um is your moral compass strong enough to potentially have your entire life thrown upside down? And for me,
Got you.
it was yes.
Got you. Got you.
And I would have done it again. I would do it again, even with all of this,
Got you.
to be able to look in the mirror and go to sleep. And my third would just be the people that I hold near and dear have shown up in ways that I just appreciate them, from my son to my partner to just friends. And I've lost a lot of friends as well, and people that I thought were my friends for 4 years at the DA's office. And I just feel like one thing I took away is clarity. It brought clarity: who's really there, who's not.
Got it. I love it. All right, this one's gonna be a lighthearted. How big is that binder? Come on, let's go. I got to talk about the
The
binder.
binder, the binder is 6-inch binder.
It's a
It
six
is
inch
it is a
binder.
binder just of hot docs. Also, this binder is not all the documents that we have.
I
It's
told
just hot
everybody
docs.
that. I told them, I said, I have evidence that there's actually more. Like, that's not the end all be all.
That binder encloses 120 exhibits that I felt that myself and Mario, my attorney, felt were
Absolutely.
necessary for the Senate. But it is probably 8%, 8 to 6% of all of the evidence that we have.
Can I
I wouldn't
can I
even say 10, not
can
even
I
close
call it
to
the
10.
cookbook now? Since can I call it the
Can
cookbook since I call Mario Chef Mario? because he was
You
cooking
can.
from it. I loved it. All right. When you say, okay, because somebody said that, it was wrong for you to have evidence and artifacts, that you had taken information. And again, I don't think they were even remotely on the planet of senility, just normalcy. You didn't go you didn't go like do any clandestine Mission Impossible stuff. You didn't call, a hacker to get this. Am I right? This is just the emails, the hot takes that were sent to you. Am I right? Or is
These are
that
emails
accidental?
that were sent directly to me. These are documents that are readily available on Fulton County website. These are documents that I captured prior to leaving,
Mm-hmm.
um, as far as being the director on those programs. So no Mission Impossible. Didn't hire any hackers. I didn't stake out anybody's like none of that.
I need to add
These
the
are
sound effect.
legitimate. Right. These are documents that I legitimately um, got and that have helped me just capture the evidence in my case, and everything from, and a lot of them are actually screenshots. So screenshots from text messages,
Right.
emails, photos. A lot of youth were out of the community. So like the list of the youth, like things like that,
Right.
that would prove my case. So it's nothing sinister for sure.
I got you. All right. So you did mention it, to go back to your community. You said you did lose some friends, but you did realize that there were a lot of people in your corner and supporting you and so on and so forth. Do you feel like that was, and it does sound like it was worth it. It sounds like being able to sleep at night, knowing that you were doing the right thing for the youth and the community that you wanted to serve and you were tasked to serve. Not just that I want to serve them, but I was actually made responsible to serve them. So that makes sense there. All right. Before we round these bases, we got to talk
I
about.
want.
Oh,
Can I add on to that really
yeah.
quick?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Bigger than that, and a lot of people, I've never spoken on this, but I've sat with mothers who have lost their children due to youth gang violence, who who should have been affected by this grant in a positive way.
Right.
I have, when specifically the 17th Street Bridge shooting, where two young men were killed, six were shot, and a host of young kids, because the youth that were killed and shot were shot by youth that were 16 and younger. And one of them specifically was my son's friend from boxing, and his mother and I have a good relationship. That is what I'm talking about when I say look in the mirror. There are people who lost their children, 12-year-olds, 15-year-olds, who dropped them off at the mall and said, "Hey, I'm going to pick you up at 10." And by 8 o'clock, got a call from Atlanta Police Department saying your son's been shot in the head.
Mm,
I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. And that is where I get emotional, because though that is where my moral compass chimed in, I would never be able to look in the mirror and then look in the faces of people who have lost their children and say, I did what I was supposed to do. And so I just wanted to highlight that and humanize the fact that these grant dollars are children.
yeah. That's a good way to look at it. I like that. Thank you. All right. We're going to lighten this up a little bit. I don't know how you feel about this. Can you please, if you have the ability to reach into the mind of insanity, can you please explain to me what in the world was Senator Jones talking about? Oh, by the way, I don't like Senator Jones. I'm not a Senator Harold Jones fan by any means or measures. I don't think that he's even a fair dealer. Even if we were at a crooked card table, I think he would still be crooked. Do you have any idea what he was talking about?
I don't. I think that Senator Jones came with a job to do, and his job was to try to poke holes or to find ways to, just look into what I was saying. And I think he tried. And quite frankly, um, just just being honest, I am telling the truth. I did not fabricate anything. I did not stretch anything. So I think sometimes when somebody is telling the truth, it's hard to poke holes in it. And I know he highlighted that I only had one document. No, I have an entire binder. You all have the exact same binder, but unless we were going to be here for 3 days and 4 nights,
Right.
it would take us a
I would have
while
sat
to
through the
go
whole
through
thing
all
though.
of the documentation. So
I would have sat there through the whole thing, going through the cookbook. I would have absolutely. And I just felt like it was disingenuous. Like he's asking a question, you answer it, and he goes, interesting. And then it goes in a completely different direction. Well, what was the purpose of you asking that question, sir? And if you want me to treat you as a fair dealer, Howard Jones, you got to be fair. Like, sure, if you had a question about certain things, and then I appreciate Chef Mario coming in to set them straight. Like, can you just show me where it's okay to have somebody from Florida or Wisconsin in the program that's only for Fulton County students and Atlanta public school students? Can you show me that? So
I know I was a little bit confused, to be honest, because I was just like, when he asked me to like, oh, tell me about those grant sub grantees, and then I started telling him, and then it
went
was
another
like,
direction, totally
so I
different
was
direction.
like, I didn't know if the intention was to try to discredit my knowledge of the grant, and then when I started to go
I
into
thought
it,
that.
I was not quite sure. But again, even after everything was said and done, and we were done with the hearing, I wished him well. I told him I hope he has a good day, and
No, and
it
I
was
think
what it
that's the right.
was.
You're better than me because I wouldn't have been able. I would have had to ask some questions, which I was like, of course I got to ask the question. What in the world was he asking you about the last two questions when you were on the committee? When you clearly said, like, that's how you know, like, he literally had a script because you clearly said that Nathan Wade was in your interview when you had to reapply for your job. And then he says, oh, what was it like when you were on the team to, like, why are you asking this question, sir? And then, of course, the decision about Trump. What is it? Do you have any idea?
Right. No, I think that his point was to try to highlight that I don't have anything to do with what their bigger picture was. And I think for me, I was in there because I had knowledge and information about the misuse of federal funds, and that's what I came to articulate. Of course, I had nothing to do with the Trump case or
Right.
anything like that, so I couldn't answer those questions. But I also think that perhaps he came with a job to do, and it was very specific. Afterwards, I did see that he said that I was essentially a political pawn, and that I was put up by the Trump people, and to that, I mean, I absolutely wish him well. I just think that two things can be true at the same time. You can want very much to advocate and take up for somebody, and they can also be wrong.
And there we go. All right. There's a couple of questions. Thank you very much, by the way. There's a couple of questions from the gallery. By the way, the best live chat on the planet. Thank you all very much. And this one's kind of interesting, and I want to see what you think about it. Would Amanda work with Courtney Kramer on being DA and things being transparent? Would you campaign for her, one, and then if she were elected, would you work for her to help her be more transparent?
If Courtney Kramer was a person of integrity, or is, I don't know her personally, but if she is a person of integrity and has the best interests of Fulton County and specifically our youth population, because that's where my heart is, then absolutely. For me, I'm not, to me, it's the best person for the job. And
Mhm.
so I would, for me, it's just who's going to be the best for this community, who is going to be a straight shooter. And that's what's important to me.
No, I think that's great. And my sister Nakia asked the same thing. Would you consider campaigning? I think you don't have political aspirations or want to be used in that regard or be a person in that space. But I mean, I think it's fair if Courtney Kramer became DA and she wanted to, fix this problem, this issue that's on the table, and she reached out to you and said, "Hey, would you come back and handle this?" Maybe so. I think, is that fair or
Well,
possible?
let me be
Maybe not.
clear.
Tell her to call
I would
Hazel.
love to give her, if she wanted my guidance or had questions, or to come on maybe in a like a capacity where I help from time to time. Me and politics are done. I would never again in my life. I love to work with youth. I would do anything for the kids, but politics, nah, I'm good.
I got you. What would you so and not to speak directly to Lady Willis, but do you feel like it's a and thank you so much, Brandon, for the super chat. Thank you so much. If you're sloppy in the public, imagine how you're going to where people aren't looking. Arrogant too. Like they know they won't be held accountable. Do you feel like it's more a matter of bad bookkeeping, or like maybe they just don't know how to do it, or maybe don't run it right, or they just don't care and they're just going to do whatever they want to do?
I think that if it was bad bookkeeping or something, then they would have asked me more questions. And I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
They would have
No.
asked me, yeah, they would have asked me, is there a better way to do this? How should we do this? Okay, why is it, where does it show on the grant we can't do that or something like that?
Right. I got you.
Um, and that wasn't happening. I
Wouldn't
think that
happen.
if it
Yeah.
was bad bookkeeping, then they would have, looked a little deeper and been like, oh, thanks, Amanda. I promise you, I've seen people saying, well, why was she so persistent at that point? She was doing too much. Well, not when my name is on the grant. I'm not doing too much. I'll say it a
There's a
thousand times.
lot.
But right. But also I think that at a point, me being so persistent, at no point in time was it like, no, Amanda, that's not the case. We've went and we've gotten some type of edit or something to the grant. The grant no longer says that.
Oh
There's
wow.
none of that was ever said to me, so that I could be like, okay, we're good, never mind. And so I think if it was bad, just on the up and up, just an honest mistake, it would have been corrected a long time ago, and I might still be there. No, I
Wow.
wouldn't at this point. I
Right.
wouldn't at
Right.
this point, but I would have been for longer.
No. Wow. That's kind of crazy. So, are there other programs that you know of in Fulton County? Like, I know there's like gang prevention task force, and of course, there used to be specific gang um, work within even the APD. Are there anything like that still, or do you feel like they're all not able to because of the DA's office?
No, there's other programs, smaller programs. There are programs like Glacier's Ice. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but that is a youth
Glacier
program
Ice.
that is geared towards youth in the justice system, and works with them doing Italian Ice. Basically, gives them a job and teaches them some work skills and stuff. And the it's hard to promote it, but the program that I work with will be coming to Atlanta in October. They're a national nonprofit, but I will give you some background. It was started by a chef, and
Mario?
he, not Chef Mario, but it's a fine dining restaurant run exclusively by justice involved youth, and it teaches everything from front of the house to back of the house, and they are paid interns. They have full service therapy on staff. They have educational services, 24 hours case management, and a family component, for like a family supports component as well. So good things are coming to Fulton County, and there are good people out here. You just got to kind of look for it. And for those of you, because I just said 3 times, who keep saying it is my nervous tick. It is
Oh,
my nervous tick.
no, it's okay. We all have something. So yeah, look, trust me, the things I get corrected on by the best live chat on the planet, trust me, you're going to get a pass for all the stuff they're going to say about me. Trust me. Okay, here we go. All right, now we've finished our questions. So now I got some other ones. All right, so
Okay.
Amanda, here we go. If you could fix Atlanta's gang problem right now, give me 3 things that right now would result in your opinion, and money's not the issue, support is not the issue, any of that stuff. What would be 3 things you should say? These 3 things would really help resolve the gang issue in Atlanta. Go. I know.
You open a can of worms. Um, I think we'd have to go back to family structure. To me, a lot of it
I
is
told
single
y'all.
parent households. Yeah, single parent households. And a lot of people are doing the best that they can, but
Yeah.
with youth, there you need different energies and all of that. And anybody who's a parent knows it is a multi-person job. So I think that's one. I also think probably having like free counseling for families. A lot of times it's familial issues, and these youth go out there and try to find somewhere they belong and fit into. Um, and nobody is starting at 12, 13 with the thought in mind that they're going to be grow up to end up in prison or something like that. I think that so family, I think that that's probably one of the biggest issues. I think another thing is finding ways um to create job opportunities that are skilled work, but
Hmm.
not necessarily a graduate degree or something like that
Right.
work. And really putting out to our youth that electricians make money. Okay,
Look,
plumbers make money. And creating a space where there's no shame in those positions, and that they can get into these apprenticeships. I'm from California, and we have this thing called ROP, where you can actually do a trade in high school, and it takes the place of your elective credits. Like implementing things like that to me would be amazing, for you to come out 16 years old, have your electrician's license, has your cosmetology license, have your nurse's assisting license, because then you're not, you can work a job that makes a good living wage at a young age. So you're not looking to, kick in anybody's door, break in somebody's car.
oh my gosh.
These are
Right.
quality of life crimes that come from youth that typically don't have. And then I think the third and final, I'm long-winded, sorry.
No, it's
The
fine.
third and final would be I think allowing youth like to have some allowing youth to be youth, and having some type of universal, I know there's going to be pushback, universal handles or on social media. I just think social media is the
Oh,
devil. And
no, I agree.
to be honest, I think having some community guidelines on social media to where like 16 and younger, but like better than just pushing a button and saying I'm 16, I'm 18. Like that
Right,
doesn't
right.
work clearly. Um, but I think, yeah, vocational training. I saw
Yeah,
your
yeah, yeah.
chat, but vocational training is actually um, absolutely such a deterrent from youth diversion and justice involved, because a lot of times they're looking for ways to make and get money.
Yep. I, and it's real simple. If the task requires your hands to be dirty, you're probably in the right way. So, electricians, farmers, carpenters, welders. If you
Panic.
got a dirty hands, if you got dirty fingernails, it's good to go. Because I put in the chat earlier, who are you gonna call when you can't charge your Tesla? Absolutely, absolutely. When you can't charge your Tesla, sure you can earn it. Sure, you own a Cybertruck. If you
Yeah,
can't charge that sucker, who you gonna call? That's right.
exactly.
There you go.
And one thing I will say, my I come from a family
Yes.
of trade based, like men specifically. My grandfather, he's a master electrician, and he retired from Anheuser-Busch making well over six figures. My uncle, he's a master welder, and he works for Anheuser-Busch as well,
Oh
or he
wow,
did work for Anheuser-Busch. And they make a lot of money, a
they
lot of
do.
money. And I think that more money than I've ever made with a master's degree and all of that. So I encourage our youth to look beyond what they see, the rappers and all this stuff, and look into some less traditional things.
Yeah. So okay. So are you team? Everybody needs to go to college.
I am not,
Okay.
never been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think that there's a place for everybody. I think college is a great experience. But I also think that pushing college for everybody
for everybody.
really, I think, is rough for those who didn't have it great in school, but may
Mhm.
be a great, like I said, electrician or a plumber or something. And I think it makes them feel like if they're not college, then they just have to work at McDonald's. There's so much in between. There's
Right.
so much in between.
No, I agree 100%. And I have a rising, well, no, she's a senior and a rising freshman, and they're going to go to college, but I'm perfectly fine. If chief executive second born decided she wasn't going to go to college, she wants to do it, go another pathway of success for her, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Nakia said, and if I'm not mistaken, I think Nakia is a West Coaster as well. I think I might be hallucinating, but again, entrepreneur classes in high school, like teach entrepreneur
Yes.
class in high school. That would be again. I think there's a place for college. However, the place for college is not. Everybody doesn't have a place in college, and therein
Yes.
is the. I need to write that down. Write that down, somebody. I just made that up, but I think that that's the point. And I love your ideas to resolve the gang issue, because I think like the first thing is the family structure. Because again, I've listened to many people talk about how to fix and resolve society's issues, and they're always something heavy leaning on government, heavy leaning on somebody else making decisions, not me just deciding to stick it out with this woman that I married 23 years ago, and we just figure it out. We're gonna just tough it out till the end, and we're gonna raise these girls to be who they're supposed to be. But I don't need the government to do that. That's what I need to do. So
Yes.
I think that's great. All right. What do you want as we get ready to round these bases? We see home plate right in front of us. What do you want people to know about Amanda Timpson? Timpson, forgive me.
Um, I just want them to know that I'm regular, just like y'all. A regular person that decided to do the right thing. Um, and I'm a mom, and I'm just a community member who wants a community that our kids and we can be proud of. And I think that at the end of the day, um, I just I'm grateful for the support of people, so grateful. Um, and just for, to be in a position, I'm actually shy. So this is a lot
You're
for me.
crushing it. You're
Thank
crushing
you.
it. Shout out to you. If this is what your shy is, then I don't want to see extrovert
I,
Amanda.
yeah, I've worked my way up, but like I'm a shy person that doesn't like a lot of attention.
I got you
So this has taken me so very far out of my comfort zone,
for
and it's
sure.
taken me far out of my comfort zone for a good cause and a good reason. And I'm just a person that decided to make a decision that wasn't the easiest decision, but was the right decision.
I love it. I love it. Okay, I'm sorry. I know I said we're rounding the bases. I said we had,
You're
but okay,
good.
we gotta go back to third base. Okay, the election, the primary this past Tuesday. Did you see that coming, or Is that okay? Did you see that coming? Fani's victory, Christian Smith coming under 18%. Did you see that, or did you think it would have gone differently? What, if you don't mind?
No, I don't. I, s- I saw it going the same, but I did think that Christian would probably get a little bit more support. Christian's a really good guy. I know him, not well, but we've crossed paths, and
For
he
sure,
seems to be a good guy. But I think that there wasn't enough exposure for people to know who Christian was. But I also think that we have to keep in mind that it was a very, very, very low turnout, and so we'll see.
I got you. Um, and since you live in Fulton County, have you seen anything from Courtney Kramer in your neck of the woods?
I think I saw something the other day. I think I saw a yard sign the other day, and I was
Okay,
like, "Isn't that?" So yes,
okay.
but I will say this, Courtney, more yard signs,
Say again.
more yard signs,
I agree
because that was
100%.
the only one that I've ever saw. That's the only
I
one that
haven't
I've
seen
ever
one at
seen.
all. I've been
Yeah.
looking
So
for. I've been looking for. Like, I don't see any interviews. I don't see any memes.
right,
So
and
I
I
got you.
think I do think real quick that it's kind of impossible for Courtney to get, not impossible, but Fani is she's running for the seat again,
She's
and then she's
mean.
had a lot of high profile cases, so she's been able to really be in the media a lot. So I think that that's just kind of the nature of where we are right now.
Yeah.
But,
Okay. No, I appreciate it. All right. I didn't mean that. So now we are now on our way to home plate. We are there. We're almost there. Well, tell us what else can we do to help you out? I've seen the moderators have been dropping your GoFundMe in the link in the chat. Is there anything else we can do? Anything else besides, of course, praying for you? Is there anything else we can do as a community to support you and the Timpson family, or what you're up to?
I think honestly, just the support, if you all are in the position to support me financially, then I gratefully, gratefully appreciate it. And if you aren't, that is fine too. I know the economy is wild, crazy right now, but at the end of the day, just your support and knowing that I have a lot of people who genuinely are rooting for me. And that means the world to me. It means the world to my family. Again, we've been doing this for 3 years by ourselves.
Wow.
There was no, oh, Amanda, and all this in the
Right.
news that didn't exist for 3 years. So we just appreciate the support and just keeping us in your thoughts and prayers and all that good stuff, sending us good energy, whatever your thing is.
I love it. Thank you. Okay. And if you don't mind, you said that when your company decides, or when your entity that you're working with now moves forward on that nonprofit that they're going to be pushing out, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to promote it, more than happy to talk about it. If it's something that I can be a part of, do a live stream from there or whatever like that. I would love to talk about it. And I don't think that this should be the last time that we talk to you, hear from you. I don't want the next time that we talk to you to only be when you're hopefully victory dancing around as Fani Willis has capitulated and given up and stopped this silliness. But I appreciate it. And tell Chef Mario, thank you for allowing us to have you on. Hopefully I did enough. I did everything right. Hopefully he won't come beat me up or anything like that.
Yes. And shout out to Mario. He has been an amazing advocate, a zealous advocate, and I appreciate it. He has been amazing. So thank you. This is the first time I'm clicking on the chat. I didn't even know how at first. Thank you all. I appreciate it.
Oh, really?
So,
You haven't seen the chat?
so much. No.
Oh my gosh. The chat has been crazy. Oh, now we're back at first base again. We got to start over again. No, we are. No, they've been very supportive. Lots of good commentary there. And I've been trying to pull it up, but I didn't want to distract. I'm kind of used to it. So I'm used to being distracted and pulling up comments. So
yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate you all. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So and I like this right here. Great interview. You can tell she's telling the truth. I thank you so much. I don't know. We've started our own consulting firm here on the live chat. We decided we're going to help Courtney Kramer with her campaign. So Transplant Texan is part of our consulting firm, because we don't know what we're talking about. But anyway, Gladiator Girl says, amazing, Amanda. Thank you so much. But again, thank you. I will make sure that all of your links are in the chat, in the description as well. Please go and support Amanda and her family. And I would love for you to come back in a future date, maybe talk about some new things that are going on and all that kind of stuff. And please, if you want to shoot me a message and say, Jason, I got an update, whatever like that, and I can definitely let the community know what's going on. If that's okay, that's great. I will only share what you've shared with me, and said it's okay to share, because I definitely respect you as an advocate for the youth, as well as seem like a wonderful person. So thank you again. And I'm gonna let you take the time when you get done to read all these wonderful chat messages, because they're about you. They love it. But I thank you so much. I'm gonna let you, if you don't mind, I'm gonna put you in the green room real quick, and I'm gonna finish, say goodbye to the people, if I know how to do that. Which I don't.
Thank y'all. I appreciate it.